My name is Liz Brownell, and I am a professor of art at Finger Lakes Community College, and I am a fine artist. I am a wife, a mother, a fur baby mom, and I try to just be a good human in my life. Oh, that's really hard. I really don't think I have a preferred medium. I really tend to visualize what I want to create and then think about how I want to create it. So that's equal to using computer, paint, glitter, found objects. I just kind of follow my muse. I think that's part of the way my brain works is that I can get into a rut. I can fixate for a really long time, but then I need to do something different. Oh yeah, actually, I really can. So most of my work starts from meditation and journaling. So, I can show you sketchbooks. I have sketchbooks everywhere in my house. And everywhere in my studio. And so I just kind of start with an idea, and then I usually attach it to color. So you can kind of see over in that part of my studio, I'll start hanging papers that work with a painting, or markers, or collecting things that fall into that color range, into that idea. And then I start to sort of execute from the sketch that I have onto the canvas. And then the iterations beyond that, it's a lot of having to be one with the work. So it's not like I go I'm going to make this thing, and then I make that thing and then I'm done. It's I'm going to make this thing and I know probably 80% of what it's going to do. But then when I get to that 80%, it's kind of a regroup and a rediscussion with the artwork. So this particular show really started from a series of paintings that I did that I call the Divination series, where because this work is about my adoption and mostly about my biological mother and my search to thank her, because I wasn't able to do that, I started to look at National Geographic magazines from the years when she was living and conceived both my sister and I, to kind of reconnect myself with that period of time, to try to imagine where she was. These were the things that were happening in the world at that time, and so it helped me feel more connected to her. And so that kind of started to gel itself with my work from the past and became sort of my way. Art has always been my way of working through my own life stuff. And so this work is really about better understanding who my mother was, who I am, how I ended up where I am as an adoptee with a family that I love tremendously and that has openness to this new family that I am learning about and in reunion with. So I keep finding them whenever I can. And I really I tried a couple of other magazines, but National Geographic is the one that really does it for me, because everything from the advertisements from the 70s, 80s and 90s, my life charted in advertisements is, as a graphic designer, is you see where it came from, the way you think. I would say if I had to point my finger to the two artists, one designer, one artist, who have influenced me probably the most, it would be, I have always been fascinated with Yayoi Kusama's story and her work. I feel very connected to the vibrations in her work, and so I feel like I try to sort of emulate that sort of vibrational state in my own work. And then when I was going to college, which I was a graphics major, but really heavily into the fine arts as well, I was very smitten with David Carson, a designer who is not a designer by education, but a designer sort of by accident in some ways, because he's a sociologist. And the things he did with like breaking down type in Ray Gun, the magazine that he ran, had a tremendous impact on me as far as breaking the rules and a love for things that don't look crisp and clean off the computer. So that became like a real fascination, and blending those two things of like some is done on the computer and some isn't, and what is and what isn't, has become part of just what I do. I would say I definitely stay more up to date with the trends in design than probably art. I mean, every city I go to, or here in Rochester, I try to go to gallery exhibits that interest me, go to museums, look at work, try to follow artists that I look up to and see their work, like live and in person. As far as design goes, I do a lot of reading, and I do a lot of watching of like Behance videos and YouTube videos. I feel so blessed to live in a time where I can hear even, a deceased artist like Paul Rand give a talk on YouTube. That to me is sort of the epitome of sort of the muse being in the room, right? Or listen to Paula Scher give a talk about work that is solemn, right? Versus work that is free and happy and does what it needs to do. So yeah, so it's kind of a smorgasbord like the rest of my life. It's like, I want to learn this. What's the best way to learn it? Is it a book? Is it a video? I'll go anywhere. What steps do I take to promote my work? Really not many, because my focus has really been the last 24 years. My focus has really been on teaching and then creating artwork. So I have a brand called Soul Creations, and I sell jewelry and artwork under sort of my company name. And the work I get at this point in my career is mostly just word of mouth. People come to me because of work I've done for other people. And I've been sort of resistant. I thought I would I was gonna really try to be an Instagram person who posted like every day. And then I found that really detracted from the time I had to be in my sketchbook. And so for me, I don't need this show to travel everywhere. If it travels, that's fabulous. But if it doesn't, that's fine. So I kind of, I guess, have shaped my life to allow me to be an artist, designer, and teacher. So my advice would be, number one, don't turn away from the things that feel a little bit scary, whether it's in your personal work or your design work or your class work, because it's when you feel that bit of nervousness that you know you're onto something. And if you don't take risks, you're never gonna grow as a student, an artist, or a designer. So be fearless in the way that you take stuff on. And also, even if like me, in your regular life, you are chaotic and you can't remember where you put your keys, or you lose your purse all the time, in your professional life, even if it takes 4 sketchbooks and 3 planners, be organized. Because if you don't set time to work on your work, like I made this shift during this semester to finish this work, to move my office down here into my art studio. And what it has allowed me to do is to have a more seamless relationship in this space. So sometimes you have to do the thing, like I didn't want to put those 2 worlds together, but once I did, I knew they were connected. I just didn't want to be distracted by one or the other. And I moved everything down here despite the fear, and it worked out.